Jam on toast!
Hey everybody, I'm Cameron. Today we're here to talk about Pulp Fiction. Defranco was doing this for Movie Club, so I'm going to do it too. Okay, the short sale is that a boxer, some gangsters, their boss, and his wife all have some kind of crazy day and they all try to live through it. That's really what happens. My love it for this movie would have been the scene with Christopher Walken's character talking about his watch traveling people's asses for 7 years, and that POW, it just, it's very funny how they portrayed it, and a little kid just sitting there. And the second he can get his hands on it, he's like, ass watch! My hate it would have to be at the restaurant where the robbers actually get away with taking what they did with what's available in the scenario. Very easily could have just left the bag and made them leave with their tails between their legs. The MVP for this movie would have to be Bruce Willis. He actually gives me someone I can like and relate to a little bit. He's not the worst guy in the movie. He's really just trying to get himself out of a bad situation. Let's move on to the categories. First category is aesthetics. Now, that was set in the 80s, filmed in the 90s. It was actually very well produced from what I could see. Just the very style that happened in the 80s. Maybe I'm just not a fan. So while they did a good job producing it, what they were trying to produce I didn't think was very quality. For a 6, I give it a 6. Character development. You didn't really get a lot. You show these scenes with these characters and you can derive things from what's happening, but you don't get a lot of who they are. Like Gangster 1, Gangster 2. One's well-traveled, one talks about religion. That doesn't give them their personalities, that just gives you that they like to have philosophical discussions. Anyways, I didn't feel like they did a very good job. Character development gets 40. Storyline. What story? Like, it had a beginning, it had a middle, it had several ends, because what in reality this is several different stories wrapped up into one day, which is fine. It's action-packed, and maybe that's why you like it. What the problem there is for me is that, especially when you cut up the story and tell it out of order, it takes away from the story. You don't get a continuous thing. What it does do is tricks you into having an end. The story doesn't have an end. It has several stop points where you stop paying attention to characters, minus maybe where someone's killed. But there's no definite ending. You don't know what happened. You don't know where they're going with it. And there's arguments for exceptions that you know this and this and this is going to happen. But telling it out of order defeats that. Especially for Samuel L. Jackson's character. Probably the most powerful point in the entire movie, nullified by the fact that it came at the end of the movie for no reason other than Tarantino said, this is my best scene, I'm going to put it there. So, storyline gets a 20. Compulsion. First off, I never would watch this again if it wasn't for Movie Club. I would have turned it off. There were scenes where, like, for about 10 to 20 seconds, I can't wait to know what's happening. And then I'm immediately bored by either the direction the scene took, or just little things stop interesting me, or the suspense built just too long. It was all part of the formula Tarantino was using for his movie. And I'm not saying it's a bad formula, it's obviously not an unsuccessful formula, it's just not one that I relate to. So for me, Compulsion gets a 40. We total all that up, we ended up with an average of 40. It's not a movie I'm going to recommend to anyone who doesn't already love it. And in that case, I'd sit down and watch it with someone who loves it, because occasionally when you watch something with someone that they love, that rubs off on you just a little bit. Don't be afraid not to try it, but it's just not one I would personally recommend. And I remember this being a huge movie when I was younger and wanting to see it so badly. I don't remember seeing what the big deal was. Maybe I was desensitized then to all the action and killing, but it didn't affect me like I heard other people say, and I was like, maybe I am too young, maybe I don't get it. But I watched it again and I still don't care. I can't relate to any of the characters other than the boxer a little bit. Well, I don't recommend it. Don't let me stop you from trying it out. Well, that's all I got for you. I'm Cameron. Have a nice day.